Hello, my name is Muhammad Fardinil bin Idris. My number matic 23 DBS 20 F 2003. Definition of industrial relation: a relationship between the employee and the organization for which it is more emphasis on communication, harmonious work environment, and fair treatment. Industrial relation is the relation between trade unions which represent workers in an organization and the management or the organization. Industrial relation is sometimes known as labor relation or employees relation. Most industrial relations systems are tripartite. The system involves three parties. Number 1, employees and their trade unions. Number 2, employees and trade association. Number 3, the government. Concern in industrial relation, number 1 is trade union. Number 2, collective bargaining. Number 3, industrial or trade dispute. Number 4, industrial action. Relevant Act with regard to industrial relation. Number 1, the Industrial Relation Act 1967. Trade dispute is defined under the Industrial Relation Act 1967 as any dispute between the employer and his workmen on issue relating to employment, non-employment, terms of employment, or condition of work. The specific coverage including to provide and encourage harmonious relation between employers and employees, to provide guidelines on collective bargaining between employer and employees, to establish procedure for settlement of trade dispute. Number 2, Trade Union Act 1959. The Trade Union Act regulate trade union registration and the issue of trade union funds. The responsibility of trade union and their member, including to provide the rules on the right of employee to form, join, and participate in any lawful trade union activity. To provide the rules on the right of employees to form, join, and participate in any lawful employer association. To establish and promote legislation affecting the interests of the trade union member. Number 3, Employment Act 1955. This act applied to Peninsular Malaysia and Labuan only, and this act covering all aspects of employment of worker, termination, working hour, maternity and sick leave benefit, and wage payment. The specific coverage including to provide minimum benefit for those worker covered by the Act, to establish certain right for employers, to establish certain right for employees. Role of Ministry of Human Resources in industrial relation, recommending new legislation and amendments to existing laws which set the legal parameters for the industrial relation system. Enforcing the industrial relation law, which include the Trade Union Act 1959 and the Industrial Relation Act 1967.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Amir Safi Adnan, and I will talk about the trade union of topic 7 in industrial relation.
What a trade union is. A trade union is an organization made up of members, a membership-based organization, and its membership must be made up mainly of workers. One of a trade union main aims is to protect and advance the interests of its members in the workplace. Most trade unions are independent of any employers. However, trade unions try to develop close working relationship with employers. This can sometimes take the form of a partnership agreement between the employer and the trade union which identify their common interests and objective. Type of trade union. There are three types of trade union. First, in-house union. 2. Public sector union. And 3. Malaysian Employer Federation MEF. In-house union is a trade union whose members are all employed by the same employer in the same place of employment. Example, Telkom Berhad Employee Union, Tenaga Nasional Employee Union, and everything else. Advantage of in-house union: they are more appreciative of the situation in their workplace and problem of employer and are less influenced by outsider. Cooperative spirit developed will lead to higher productivity. Public sector union. Public sector consists of the civil service, the statutory bodies and the local authorities. In 2003, there were 211 unions. In this sector include the National Union of the Teaching Profession and the Malayan Nurses Union. Trade Union Act provides that employees in the public sector can only form and join unions whose members are in the same ministry, department or occupation. This is to ensure that discussions are possible with the employer and on a logical basis. Wages and other terms of services are discussed at the national level between the government and QPEX. Malaysian Employer Federation MEF. MEF is the employer's equivalent of MTUC. It has representatives of a number of council and bodies such as National Labour Advisory Council, EPF Board, Social Security Organisation Board, National Productivity Corporation and National Council for Occupational Safety and Health. Person prohibited becoming a member. Any person below the age of 16 years, any student of an educational institution established by under or any written law, any person employed in the establishment or industry in respect of watching the union is registered, any public officer unless exempted by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. However, certain group of government employees is not allowed to join trade union. Members of the armed force, police force and any prison service. Public officer employed in an confidential or security capacity and public officer holding any post in the management and professional group. Reason why workers join trade union: to protect their right, to increase their negotiation power, to increase status, to gain bargaining power and fight for more wages, more benefit and better terms conditions. To ensure the employment right and protected pressure from workmates and unions leader at workplace, opportunities to socialize with other workers, opportunities to exercise leadership skill and to show their solidarity with other workers.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nick Muhammad Nomar Harid bin Nick Rusli. My metric number is 23DBS20F2027. In this video, I will talk about collective bargaining. The definition of collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is the process in which working people, through their unions, negotiate contracts with the employers to determine their terms of employment, including pay, benefits, hours, leave, job health, and safety policies, ways to balance work and family, and more. In collective bargaining, there will be 7 processes. The first process is set bargaining issues. In this process, there will be 3 main activities. The activities are information gathering, goal setting, and also strategy development. In the first process, we will also need to set a representative to make a consultation. The second process of collective bargaining is preparation for negotiation. The purpose of the process is to prepare the issue that will happen during the negotiation. This process involves three main issues. The three main issues are mandatory issues, permissive issues, and also close-up issues. In the second process, we will also be forming a negotiation team. In this negotiation team, there will be three main activities. The three main activities in this negotiation team is collecting data or information, setting the negotiation objective, and also forming the strategies. The third process of collective bargaining is negotiation the issues. During the negotiation process, a face-to-face meeting between employers and trade union will happen. Both parties are advised to be tolerant for the negotiation to be succeeded. The outcome of negotiation success depend on the power and the skills of the negotiation of each party. The fourth process of collective bargaining is overcome the impasse. During bargaining, a negotiator may face a deadlock. This happens because the other negotiator parties cannot reach an agreement, and this process is called impasse. Impasse happen when the other parties do not move towards settlement. This usually happens because the party is demanding more than what the other parties is offering. The fifth process of collective bargaining is reaching an agreement. To avoid a trade paying dispute in an agreement, impasse must be resolved immediately. An impasse can be resolved through three ways. There is third-party intervention, trade union strategies, and management strategies. A bargaining process is complete if the union management reach a temporary agreement. The sixth process in collective bargaining is ratifying the agreement. Once an agreement is agreed on, both parties must provide a written agreement and signed by both parties. This written agreement is called a CA or collective agreement. In this CA, all the conditions and terms must be agreed on. And the last process of collective bargaining is administration of the agreement. After both parties have signed the terms and also agreed with it, there are four phases in the administration of collective agreement. First, to inform and ensure that the content of contract agreed by all parties. Second, all implement the contract. Third, interpretation of the agreement, and the last one is complaint settlement.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faik Hafiz bin Azman. My matrix number is 23 DBS 20F 2041. Today I will present about industrial action in organization.
Definition of industrial action is industrial action refers to any measure taken by trade union to reduce productivity in the workplace.
Trade union involved in an industrial action assembled in front of the workplace or the home of the employer in order to prevent other co-workers from going inside and working. Picketing is to persuade the other co-workers to support them in the industrial action and to dissuade customers from doing business with the organization. Also, there's a different type of picketing. First one is informational. When pickets inform people about the concern of the union to the public. The second one is mass. When pickets try to gather as many people as possible in the picket line in order to show the employer that their cause is supported by a large majority of people. Next is secondary. When pickets try to stop supplier of the employer, like lorry drivers, from delivering supplies to the employer. And the last one is flying. When workers involved in an industrial action move from one workplace of the employer to another to picket them. This type is unlawful. The next one is definition of strikes. A strike or industrial action is an action taken caused by disputes between trade union members and employers. It is a refusal to work by employees until the dispute has been resolved. Also, I will present about types of strikes. First one is economic strike. Under this type of strikes, labor stop their works to enforce their economic demands such as wage and bonus. In this kind of strikes, workers ask for increase in wage, allowances like traveling allowance, house rent allowance, dearness allowance, bonus and other facilities such as increase in privilege leave and casual leave. Second one is sympathetic strike. When workers of one unit or industry go on strike in sympathy with workers of another unit or industry who are already on strike, it is called a sympathetic strike. The member of other unions involve themselves in a strike to support or express their sympathy with the member of unions who are on strike in other undertakings. The workers of sugar industry may go on strike in sympathy with their fellow workers of the textile industry who may already be on strike. The next type is general strike. It means a strike by members of all or most of the unions in a region or an industry. It may be a strike of all workers in a particular region of industry to force demands common to all the workers. These strikes are usually intended to create political pressure on the ruling government rather than on any one employer. It may also be an extension of the sympathetic strike to express generalized protest by the workers. Next one is sit-down strike. In this case, workers do not absent themselves from their place of work when they are on strike. They keep control over production facilities but do not work. Such a strike is also known as pen down or tool down strike. Workers show up to their place of employment but they refuse to work. They also refuse to leave, which makes it very difficult to employer to defy the union and take the workers' place. In June 1998, all the municipal corporation employees in Punjab observed a pen down strike to protest against the non-acceptance of their demands by the state's government. The fifth one is wildcat strike. This strike are conducted by workers or employees without the authority and consent of unions. In 2004, a significant numbers of advocates went on wildcat strike at the city civil court premise in Bangalore. They were protesting against some remarks allegedly made against them by an assistant commissioner. Next is recognition strike. Typical strike often resulted to pressurize the employers to recognize the value of workers and deal with them. Next is go slow strike. In this form of strike, workers do not work at normal speed, which is usually regarded as misconduct rather than strike. It is hunger strike, a strike in which all of some of the workers fast is called a hunger strike. Cause of strike is wage, allowance and bonus, layoff and retrenchment, indiscipline and violence, charter of demands, non-implementation of agreement and works. Next, I will talk about lockout. Definition of lockout. Lockout means the employer temporarily close down the factory of any unit of the enterprise where numerous workers are employed. To handle the uncontrollable situation till the issue are resolved, it is used to compel the workers to agree and resume the works as per the terms and conditions of the employers. The cause of lockout is respond to the strike initiated by workers, unrest, dispute and clash between workers and managers, external environmental factors like unstable government or change in government's rule, continuous financial loss. This last one is fraudulent or illegal activities undertaken in a company. And the essential of lockout is there are two essential of the lockout. The first one is closing of the industry. The second one is suspension of works. The third one is refusal by the employers to continue to employ any numbers of workmen employed in the industry. Concession and retaliation are the main elements of the lockout that must be used by employer. The mere suspension of the works without accompanied by an intention to retaliate will not amount to lockout. If the employer of the industry shut out the work because of the raw material or the fuel or any necessary material is not present, it will not amount to lockout. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Amsyah Daniel bin Muhammad Jamadi. My matrix number is 23 DBS20F 2043. And now I will present to you about industrial dispute in organization. Now I will talk about definition. Okay, so it is an industrial dispute may be defined as a conflict or difference of opinion between management and workers on the term of employment. So the second one I will talk about is procedure in solving industrial dispute. So the first one is direct negotiation, second conciliation, and third mediation, and lastly is arbitration. So the first one, direct negotiation, is a dispute resolution technique process at the beginning of the ADR spectrum. It is often a good starting point to see if a conflict can be resolved without needing to use mediation, arbitration, or mediation or conciliation. And in direct negotiation, the parties may or may not be assisted by a professional neutral who is trained at facilitating communication to achieve a resolution. The second one is conciliation. So conciliation means conciliation is merely the bringing together by a third party the two parties in disputes. And the third one is mediation. Mediation is an attempt to settle disputes with the help of an outsider who attempts to stimulate labor and management to reach some type of agreement. The mediator, unlike an arbitrator, cannot decide the issue. He listens, suggests, communicates and pursues. He does not give any award. And the last one is arbitration. So arbitration means is resort to by the parties fail to arrive at the settlement by voluntary method. The parties to the dispute may then appoint an arbitrator and refer the dispute to him. The arbitration award is binding upon the parties who refer the dispute to arbitration. Arbitration can be either voluntary or compulsory.